Well, Andrea Holwegner's got all this sugar on the table, and I just want to jump into all of it because we're going to talk about the nutrition nemesis for many, me included, sugar. We brought in registered dietitian Andrea Holwegner to talk about how much, how often, how to be smart about sugar. Let's start with recommended daily intake of sugar, which I'm sure most of us go over.
Yeah, so people always say, like, how much is okay? And so there's not really a recommendation for sugar, but what we do have from Health Canada is a guideline that suggests having less than 20% of our calories coming from total sugar.
Okay.
So now we got to define what is total sugar, because total sugar is also the stuff that's in whole foods, like our fruits, our veggies, and the lactose found naturally in dairy foods. So those foods all have sugar, and then of course, you know, pops, candies, you know, brown sugar we put on oatmeal.
Coffee, tea, desserts.
Yeah, maple syrup I'm going to put on my pancakes. We have all of those
so
things.
it can quickly spiral up.
Yeah, so if I was to translate that into a number for people, if you're consuming about 2,000 calories a day, what that means is about 100 grams of total sugar per day. And so it's not that we're trying to tell people never eat sugar again and there's no room for any of it and you bring everything down to zero. That's not the message. The message is just be smart about it. Be intentional about where do you really love the flavor. So if I'm baking, you know, rhubarb muffins right now in the spring, I'm going to put just regular sugar into my muffins because it tastes delicious and there's a lot of other good nutrition in that food. Or if I am making French toast or crepes, I'm probably just going to have real maple syrup on there because it tastes really delicious.
Where can we cut down?
So my suggestion would be look at the really big obvious sources. So of course we're always after pop in our field, 10 teaspoons of sugar in a can of pop, let alone a bottle, which would be a lot more. We're thinking about things like the big containers of candies that I'm seeing lined up in the grocery store. Like the portion sizes are probably more than we need. And so really thinking about if you do love candy, don't stock your pantries full of them. Go out, get a little bit, but again, make yourself have to work a little bit for it. If it's stocked in your pantry, you're just going to eat them every day after work.
And you can't out-train a bad diet. So you can't eat the vat of jujubes and then say, but I went for a run this morning. Right?
Yeah, because again, we're not just talking about calories in, calories out. We're talking about overall nutritional balance, the vitamins, the minerals, the gut microbiome that we need established from healthy whole foods as well.
And the sugar crash, right? Yes. How do we read a label to know what's in there? Because sugar comes under many names.
It does. So pretty much anything that ends in OSE or O-sucrose, glucose, and the list goes on, usually indicates sugar. So on the side of the ingredient panel, you usually will now see the sugars all clumped together. It'll say sugar and in brackets a whole list of what that actually means. And then on the nutrition facts label, you're going to see a percentage DV. And what that means is the percentage daily value. And that's based on this 2,000 calorie diet or 100 grams of total sugar. So if we see something that's over 15% DV or 15% daily value, we know it's probably a food that's got maybe a little bit more added sugar on there. And so it's not to look at a carton of milk or a bag of mini carrots and see, oh my gosh, they've added sugar to this. Of course not. That's just the natural sugars that are found in that whole food. And you'll see they tend to be quite low. So we're really after foods that are going to be, of course, just really high on that percentage DV. And again, no bad foods, only bad total overall diets. So if you love licorice or you do love pop, just be intentional about how much you have of that. That's really the key here.
We love honey. Can we use honey as a sugar substitute, or is this another form of sugar?
Sugar is sugar is sugar. So whether we're talking about brown or white or honey or maple syrup, there might be tiny little differences in like trace amounts of vitamins and minerals, but really at the end of the day, they're very similar in terms of their overall nutritional impact on the body.
Okay, so when you hear like, oh, something else is not sugar, it's sugar. It's sugar. So you just need to be wise and to choose accordingly and think about where your added sugars are coming in, because they're not coming in from the carrots.
Probably not.
The carrots are not the problem here.
Well, then people ask about Splenda and stevia and the sugar alcohols found in diet candy type of foods. And so, certainly there's safety guidelines that Health Canada is monitoring in terms of what we call an ADI or an acceptable dietary intake that we know in research has been tested to be safe. So I don't think, they're going to kill people. There's all of this negative stuff. But again, what I would say, if our clients are, say, drinking 10 cans of Diet Pop a day and they're throwing stevia and Splenda in everything, what we tend to see is that our clients are constantly sensitizing their taste buds to sweet.
Yes.
And what that means is that a strawberry or an apple or the carrots that naturally contain sugar will just not taste as sweet. And so sometimes we have a little bit more trouble getting them more onto eating more whole foods.
So really it's a process.
Yeah.
It's a process to sort of take a look and to maybe draw yourself back from the big picture. But if you'd like more info on going through that process, Andrea's got a great website and a great story about sugar, healthstandnutrition.com. You can check that out. Thanks for coming in and reminding us that
our love affair with sugar, we'll always love it.
we'll always love it, but we
always
do
love it.
need to keep an eye on it and control it.